Okay, guys, gotta talk. Gotta talk about something important. Hello, everyone. My name is Connor, coming to you from the World Divide. Today, I'm going to talk about the drone incident that happened, I don't know, a few weeks ago. I've kind of been sitting on this one, like just not wanting to report it because of all the drama and bullshit that's been going on around it. And I'm not a big fan of drama and bullshit. So let's cut through it right now. What ended up happening, or the general basis of the story, is that a MQ-9 Reaper American drone was performing regular flight paths over the Black Sea. Um, what followed was a couple of Russian Su-27 jet fighter aircraft ended up kind of shadowing the drone for a little while. And then at one point, and this was shown by footage from the drone itself, you could see one of the Su-27s performing a maneuver in which it was dumping fuel, and it made multiple maneuvers in this such way, which eventually caused damage to the propeller, and the drone itself sunk to the bottom of the Black Sea. Now, the U.S. government says that they were able to wipe the software. They were able to erase it remotely from across the world, which is hugely important. If the Russians had that information, if they had the access to the networking that drone was capable of, some of the secret advanced systems that we're not allowed to know about, that would provide them a huge intelligence advantage. So now I've seen multiple maps on where this drone actually landed, and this is kind of the important thing. The United States basically said that the drone was flying over international waters. The drone was in completely neutral zone, and the Russians may have intentionally downed the drone. Both militaries of both countries are trying to downplay it, which is something that I certainly find relief in, because politicians like to talk up things. They like to add drama, to add spice to things. The militaries are going to be a little bit more realistic, and I was happy to see that the Pentagon was trying to pedal back kind of its claims on what had happened in the event. And they basically stated that what likely happened was the result of an accident between a Russian jet and the MQ-9 Reaper drone. Another benefit of this, it was a drone. Drones don't have people in them. Drones are expendable. I mean, it's $40 million expendable, but no one died in the incident. No one was hurt. It gathered a lot of drama. And afterwards, there was certainly a level of confusion. I had this same question: where did this drone exactly land? Where was it flying over? Because a lot of times, NATO aircraft has been flying across the Black Sea, continuously surveying positions in Crimea, providing real-time intelligence to the Ukrainians. They usually take off from Romania, curve down a little bit east of Bulgaria, follow the Black Sea a little ways till they reached about maybe 500-600 miles west of the west coast of Georgia, where Abkhazia is, and then kind of like your southern regions in the Caucasus of Russia. They would turn around, they'd go back, or sometimes they make like little circles there for a while and then go back. So the American narrative assumed that this was kind of the same thing was happening here, and it showed basically a map on where the drone landed, and it was pretty much closer to Turkey, closer to Bulgaria than it was to Russian-controlled Crimea. Now, ever since then, there's been tidbits of information, certain photos, information released by the government that has proved otherwise. There was recently an image released of basically a GPS tracker on the recovery boat the Russians were using to try to fish the drone out of the water. Are they going to be able to get anything important? It's really hard to say. They will be able to pretty much dissect the hardware. They will be able to gather some very useful information. In fact, early on in the conflict, the Ukrainians requested these MQ-9 Reaper drones, but the politicians in the United States were very supportive of this. The Pentagon was not, because of the secret advanced systems that they didn't want getting into the other side's hands. So one result of this incident is maybe that Ukraine could be receiving these drones in the future. It's not a certainty, but it is a possibility and something to think about. The Russians will likely not be able to get too much out of fishing this drone out of the sea. It's in multiple pieces. It's 2 kilometers down, in the ocean. It's not going to be easy to recover. But they'll be the ones to do it. Because GPS tracked locations, this didn't send me over the edge into believing that it was closer to Crimea. But the GPS tracker showed the recovery ship about 15 nautical miles from the southwestern coast of Crimea, pretty much south of Sevastopol. But we recently got photo confirmation from, guess who, the United States government, showing a photo from the drone, and you can clearly see a landmass etched out, on the left side of the photo. And when you geolocate and you analyze this photo and kind of take a look at the shapes of the landmass and stuff, it shows the same picture, that the drone was flying very close to Crimea, within Russian airspace. So there's visual evidence of this now, which makes me believe that it was kind of foolish for the government to release that photo in the first place. Now politicians have been jumping to certain conclusions. Lindsey Graham, about how we should shoot down Russian jets in response to this, and that's called World War III. So that's not going to happen, and that's extremely reckless. Will this escalate things further? Yeah, it will. It won't be. It'll be less like physical escalation. It'll be more used as like an informational jumping point to find further avenues to try to demonize Russia and win favor within the information space, which is something that certainly Western countries have always had an advantage of throughout the entire conflict. Now, so I think it is pretty conclusive with all the evidence that I've seen that drone was flying in Russian airspace, and that this was likely probably the United States testing Russia, testing their response. And they probably saw a juicy target that, they could record, that they could send real time to Ukraine. A lot of the strikes that have been performed on Crimea would not have been possible without real-time satellite data and drone reconnaissance information that the U.S. government had been providing real-time to the Ukrainians and currently still does. So I think we're going to see some more informational rhetoric. We're going to see some more brandishing, but we're not going to see too much physical escalation as a result of this. Events like this are scary. They should be prevented at all costs. I mean, just conflict between superpowers should be prevented at all costs. So this incident was definitely a reflection, I believe, of some level of irresponsibility, but no one should be worried about it. It's a little bit overblown, but it is certainly going to be an important marking point of history. That's all I have to say about that. That's my thoughts on the drone incident. Peace out, guys.